Hey there, how you going? It's Rachel here and welcome to week 2 of the Active Body and Mind program. This week we're going to be talking about how you can keep boosting your metabolism, recognizing the awesome results that you've already achieved and how it is you're going to keep building on these results. So thank you for taking the time to hang out with me again today. And I want to check in to make sure that you're in a good space before we begin. So if you haven't already, take the time to get yourself a glass of water. Have your notebook in front of you and make sure that you're as free from distractions as possible. Fantastic. So by now I know you've already been taking action to start getting into your exercise program and to really refresh the learnings that you gained throughout your first program. And I know that many of you have already identified the benefits and the improvements that you've already achieved. And I think that so many of you have achieved some really fantastic results. So I know that what you've been wondering is whether you're going to be doing the same again or whether there's a need to be doing something different this time around. The good news is that if you've already achieved great results from your first or second program, then you can expect to achieve even more fantastic results this time round. Now, if you don't make any changes to the way in which you did take action out of program 1, then what you may find is that you end up plateauing this program. And what I want to ensure is that you keep moving towards the goals that you've set for yourself. So what we're going to be doing, similar to the first round, is focusing on what is going to be the difference that makes the difference on a week-by-week basis. So this week, as I introduced, we're going to be looking at how it is you're going to keep boosting your metabolism. And if you haven't yet taken the time to have a read, I'd really encourage you to have a look at the latest inspiration story from one of the MP National Transformation winners. Yvette May was one of the women who achieved some amazing results. Many of you may look at her after shots and think, well, how can I relate to where she's at right now? Yet when you read her story, you can see how it is that what she achieved was by building on the outcomes from each of her programs to make ongoing refinements so that she kept moving forward towards her goals. In her first program, Yvette achieved an amazing weight loss of 16 kilograms, yet it got even better from there in her second MP program, where she then lost 30 kilos. She ended up losing a total of 53 kilos over a 12-month period, and the changes to her in terms of her body, her life, her mental and emotional well-being have just been amazing. So if you need to start shifting your beliefs around what's possible for you, I would really encourage you to take the time and have a read of Yvette's story. And see what it is that you notice in terms of some of the actions that she took, what she did on a consistent basis, and how, as she said, she recognised that success is a process. And she saw that with each program, there was an opportunity for her to gain even more learnings so that she could keep building on the amazing success to keep moving towards her ultimate goals, which I believe she's well established today. So throughout this program, you're going to be looking at, as we've already discovered, on where you're at right now and how it is you're going to build on the results you've already achieved. So by now you should have completed your metabolic classification questionnaire. And the information provided in this questionnaire is really key when it comes to knowing where you're at and to match the next program for you. So many of you asked me in the past, what happens next? What happens after this program? And it really is individual in that it depends on you, what you've achieved, and the goals that you're seeking. Now, of course, many people approach the Active Body and Mind or the Metabolic Precision programs to lose weight. Yet there are some that just want to improve their overall health and well-being, or in fact go the opposite way and gain muscle mass. So wherever you're at is completely perfect for you. And the good news is that wherever you're at, there's a way in which we can redesign what you're doing to keep achieving your goals. So there are 3 classifications which come out of the metabolic classification questionnaire. Depending on what you score, whether it's above or below 60, will determine determine which program I recommend for you this time round. Whether you're recommended to go in the metabolic reprogram, or whether it's recommended that you get into one of the more advanced specialised programs such as fat loss or developing lean muscle mass. Whichever the approach, the important aspect will be to keep refining what you're currently doing. And to do that, we need to know what it is you're currently doing. Now, as I mentioned in week 1, your accountability and your record keeping throughout this program is going to be really essential. It's going to be how it is we identify your story. What's been going on for you? What has or hasn't been working? So we can make the changes to your nutrition and to your exercise so that you keep achieving results. As you know by now, this is a progressive program. You start at one point and we keep progressing along the way, matching your exercise to your nutrition. By now, each of you should be achieving 6 metabolically precise meals a day. And if you're not, then that's absolutely your first priority. When it comes to metabolic classifications, there is a key component that's considered in each of these, and that is where you're at in terms of your carbohydrate sensitivity. As you learnt throughout the first program, or even the second program, one of the key considerations when it comes to deciding what you're going to eat when is your carbohydrates, and specifically breaking these down into 2 categories, your high and your low energy carbohydrates. So of course your high energy carbohydrates are those that give you a lot of energy for a small amount of food. And the easy way to identify these foods are the ones that come in packets. Generally they've been through a refinement process and they have a high amount of sugar, whether that be natural or added. So for people that fit in the category above 60 points, more than likely you still have what's called a high carbohydrate sensitivity. And this impairs the way in which your body stores and uses food, in particular insulin and glucose. So the key consideration, the key focus we want to be working towards is reducing your carb sensitivity. So to know what carbs you're going to eat when is going to be really key. And if you're finding that you're still slipping in the high energy carbs outside of the window, then this is going to have a big impact on where you're at right now. So your carb sensitivity is going to be a really key factor moving forward in terms of you continuing to achieve your results. Now, if you've already lowered your carb sensitivity, that's fantastic. And we'll also be continuing to realign the action you're taking based on where you're at, your classification. So each of you will receive feedback from me on where you're at based on your classification. So you know what are the refinements you'll be making based on whether you're in category A, B, or C. The interesting thing about eating in a way that's metabolically precise is that it is a lifestyle change. It is about learning the day-to-day tasks you can be taking to create the overall lifestyle that you're seeking. Even when it comes to maintenance of what you've achieved, there's going to be a way in which you can do that, which you ensure that you're going to keep taking the action rather than fall back into old habits. So I want to assure you right now that my role very clearly is still to be your guide throughout this program, to assist you to know what to focus on when and how to keep building on and improving your results when it comes to exercise, to eating, and your overall mindset and approach to achieving your goals. Alright, let's have a look at what some of those key principles are. So we've already talked about the importance of metabolic classification. We've talked about carb sensitivity, knowing what it is and knowing where you're at right now. And we've also talked about the importance of refining your nutrition and exercise. Now, all of these steps are going to be really important in terms of you knowing what you need to be doing differently this time round. Now, to know what to do differently, we need to know where you're at right now. And one of the tools that's really going to assist us to keep making these refinements throughout your program are your weekly plans. Now, I know that for some this may have been a challenge in the past, Yet it's even more important to have this information available right now so that collectively we can work out what's working for you and what we need to refine to keep achieving the results that you're seeking. So today what we're going to do is refresh those steps around weekly planning. And your one action step for this week that I really want you to focus your attention on is developing your weekly plan. So let's have a look at those steps. So the first step is to plan your exercise first, taking into consideration what exercise you're going to be doing each day and when you're going to be doing it. You already have access to your first 2-week exercise program within your client file, and I trust that by now you've each had a chance to review this. So now it's about looking at how this is going to fit within your lifestyle, where it is you're going to be finding time to exercise each day within your family and your own individual priorities. So one of the ways I went about this was I developed a timetable which included in it all of the various different responsibilities I had, and I looked at where it is I'd be exercising within that timetable, and I then devised my meals according to that. I'll share this with you this week so that you can get a look as to what it might look like for me to see how it might work for you. The second step is to identify your metabolic window. So as you know, when you exercise, you create a metabolic window. And this is a time in which your body actually promotes the use of nutrients for its maximum benefit. And this is the key time to be including your high energy carbohydrates along with feeding the other MP principles. So when you include your high energy carbohydrates at this time, you're really promoting your body's ability to recover, to utilize the energy source to assist you to build muscle and to get back on track so that you're ready for your next workout. So your metabolic window begins 15 minutes before you start exercising and lasts for 3 hours. In this time, as we touched on throughout the first program, you're aiming to eat 2 metabolically precise meals, each with high energy carbohydrates. Now this requires some planning, so I would really encourage you to identify when and what you're going to eat at these times. Your third step to consider is then assigning supplementation. So as you know, to maximise the results from every workout you perform that's of a high intensity nature, that is, that's either resistance or intense cardio, you need to include a pre and post supplementation to maximise your results. So making sure that you include this within your weekly plans so you remember to have your pre and your post supplementation. One of the things I tend to do is have it made up ready to go with the powder in it, say if I'm going to exercise first thing in the morning, so that when I get up it's the first thing I see and I know all I need to do is add water and milk and I'm ready to go. The fourth step to consider is identifying your times for your meals. So you know that by now your goal is at least 6 MP meals a day. So identifying where you're going to be eating those meals, at what times, is going to be really key. You don't want to be planning to eat at times that you know there is something else already planned for you, which will prevent you from eating foods. So one of the key considerations that I need to make is ensuring I'm not planning meals at the same time as delivering fitness classes or meeting clients. So seeing how it fits within my overall timetable is really important for me, as it will be important for you. And then identifying times for your meals within the window. So looking at what you're going to be eating when, and then after that identifying your meals outside of. Okay, so we're back again. So that was the steps that you're going to be taking this week to ensure that you achieve the action, your major goal for this week, which is to complete your weekly plan. So now what I want you to do is to identify when you're going to be developing this weekly plan, what tools, what information you're going to need so that you're able to sit down and complete that plan. Once you have, save it in your client file so that I can review the plan and provide you with some feedback, and we can keep producing plans each week to keep refining what it is you're doing. If you'd like to have a look at how it is that plans are being produced by others, you can have a look at examples saved in your Metabolic Precision Tools folder from Shah and myself. in terms of how it is that we've produced weekly plans that work for us. So I want you to really enjoy taking the time to plan your meals this week. To notice how this gives you the opportunity to actually get excited about eating different foods. To have a look through your cook Bible and start discovering some of the meals you haven't yet tried. And to get greater variety in your week. To see how simple it is once you know what it is you're eating when. And that you're reprogramming your ability to know what to eat and the times that are going to work best for you. To see that this plan isn't set in stone. It's about identifying how it is you can keep improving on what you're doing. So I'd encourage you to take notes throughout the week to see what is working and to see what you do differently the following week. This will be really important information for us this week and going forward to see how we can keep refining what you're doing for you to achieve your goals. So have fun with your weekly planning and take the time to share how it's working for you in the Facebook group.